Welcome back to edition number 17 of Talon Talk. This week we have on senior John Anderson Bobo, as he's better known, member of the men's track and field and men's cross country teams here at UNF. It's a great interview talking about content from his favorite Twitter follows to running culture and recovering from a injury. But before this week's feature interview, we will get into last week's action, looking at men's and women's basketball, swimming, and news in men's and women's sports across the department in general. Men's basketball went 1-1 last week, picking up an 89-74 victory against FGCU. That was January 9th, before suffering its first home loss of the year against NJIT Saturday. UNF's win against FGCU was its second largest margin of victory in series history. North Florida is still leading the nation in triples, converting 233. Women's basketball is now 9-8 and 2-2 in league play after downing NJIT 71-48, but falling to number 25 FGCU Monday. There were a couple of big performances this past week by the Ospreys. Senior Janisha Green posted a 10-point and 11-assist double-double in the win against the Highlanders, while Adrienne Jackson turned in a career-high 18 boards against the Eagles. Going to swimming picked up a 120-111 victory against Georgia Southern January 11th. It's the second victory for the Ospreys against its CCSA rival this year. Critical first and third place finish in the 400 free relay tipped the scales. Preseason polls were announced for tennis, with the UNF women coming in tied for first in the ASUN preseason coaches poll. That's the third consecutive year that's happened. UNF looks to start its defense of its 5 straight conference titles when it hosts Flagler and FAMU, Georgia Southern, and Cornell this upcoming weekend. Some offseason news for men's soccer. Former Osprey standout men's soccer player Alex Morel has been in the professional ranks since 2016, and his latest move brought him from the South Georgia Tormenta FC to the Greenville Triumph FC. So with that quick recap, it's time for the feature interview today with a guy that is fresh off being honored as the latest UNF ASUN Winners for Life honoree, Anderson Bobo.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
So first off, why Anderson, not John? I was thrown off by that.
Oh, yeah. A lot of people are in story of my life. So my full name is John Anderson Bobo III. And when I was born, I lived next to my grandpa. And, my dad is junior. And so there's just way too many Johns. And then so I go by Anderson. But then everyone calls me Bobo, which is my last name, which I'm perfectly fine
So you got
with.
3 options here.
I do, yeah. And I can go with the full one if I really want to.
Does that happen often? Do you get called John in class, or how does that work? Like when professors first, get to know you, what happens with that?
So usually, if there's not a lot of talking in the class or engagement, I'll just go with John, because it's like I'm living a double life, so it's a little fun. They're like, John. I'm like, oh wait, that's me. But if we start talking a lot, later down, I'm down the road in my communication classes, so we're always talking with everyone. And so I'm like, okay, my name's Anderson. You can call me that. Or Bobo if we're really comfortable.
Sure. Okay. And I mean, I don't know what you're trying to do in communications, but Anderson, Cooper, obviously, you've got,
one of the great Andersons.
That's a good name to have in the communications world. So, so first off, why running? I mean, that's a big part of your life, obviously, both, cross country and track. I mean, that's, comprises a lot of your identity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm a huge basketball guy. So I grew up playing basketball, but I played JV in high school for 9th and 10th grade. But I'm a small kid. I'm 5'7" on a good day now. But then I was 5'2", 5'3", not cutting it. And so I wanted to go to a sport where I was getting playing time. And I would sometimes run on my own just to push yourself and get in shape. And I'm just someone who really embraces the grind. I was the dude in basketball that played super hard on defense and just annoyed everyone. And so kind of getting down to that grit and grind kind of translated well to running. And so I went out for the track team in high school, and the coach was really cool. All the kids were awesome. So great environment. That definitely helped me stick with it.
So you're kind of like that old, Aaron Craft, just I'm going to scrap and get some steals at the top of the key. And,
I'll take a charge.
I'm going to take a charge. You're going to get some assists, not really going to, I might get a bunny layup here and there, but that's
maybe
about
if
it.
I don't miss it.
Yeah. So did you run competitively in high school then?
Yeah.
Or at what point did you start running competitively? Rather?
So I did track my freshman year, but that was just kind of, I didn't know what was going on then.
You were just joining an activity, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. And so 10th grade cross country was when I started, I was starting to get pretty good. I was one of the top guys on the team. And so I was like, okay, this is a lot more fun now that I'm doing well. And then I just kind of stuck it out from there and then started taking it really seriously the next 2 years.
So anytime you were doing kind of shuttle runs or like, kind of conditioning basketball practice, everybody's loathing it. You're probably like, I'm killing you guys. Like, was that the case?
I was the king of that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I probably went too hard looking back on it, but.
Why is that?
I didn't need to be doing that. Like, I didn't need to be trying to kill the starters in the sprints.
you needed to have, some kind of swag going into practice. So that's where you're getting it probably.
I guess I needed some type of identity.
Yeah.
So I'm glad it translated into something else.
So you kind of did it kind of offhanded to start. And then you're like, yeah, I got pretty good. And I've actually heard this for a couple of different runners, that it kind of Nathan I was interviewing before, and he kind of just said this was what I was best at. And then when did it really click for you and you're like, I'm going to be a Division I runner?
Probably my junior year. I started hitting some nice times and I was beating some of the times that the best guy on our team hit his age. And I knew he could go D1. So I was like, oh, maybe I want to do that. Like, that would be a really cool idea. And then my senior year, I was injured a little bit, so that kind of stagnated my training, and I was super low mileage in high school, which is a good thing because, potential. We always joke, you always want potential.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, and then I just want me to keep going on the whole story.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
However it evolves. I mean, to the point where you're getting contacted by schools and why you chose North Florida.
So I wasn't contacted by that many schools, some D3 schools. JU actually sent me some letters and stuff. And then I was able to get in contact with Coach Pig, and I talked to him and I told him my times from high school. And at that time, all my personal records, PRs, were from my junior year when I wasn't hurt, and my mileage was still really low then. And he's like, okay, I could see like you're projected to do pretty well, and so maybe have some talent, some potential. And then so I went on a visit here, and the dudes were awesome. Like the team, I did a little run with them outside of school, and they were so funny. I was cracking up the whole time, like, I want to be here.
So do you talk when you run with group?
Yeah.
Okay.
I probably talk too much. Like, we'll be in the middle of a workout, and I'll say whatever comes to my head, and people just be like, shut up, Bobo. Like,
so, like, even in, like, if you're doing kind of a high-intensity run, like, even, like, it's not like a long-distance casual run, you'll be talking?
Every now and then. But
So you're like talking smack, probably.
I'm just making jokes, maybe to like make people laugh, or some throwbacks to what someone said earlier in the warm up. So probably a little bit too much than I should. But then once it starts getting tough, I'll get quiet and just focus.
So does every kind of running group have like a pecking order of like, or like a social class, like who does what and like how people act and like who says what, and like people that lighten the mood or people that are like downers? Like, does that exist?
Definitely everyone has their own identity when they run. That kind of comes out like a second side of them. But when you're running just a normal run, so like our training comprises of just like normal runs and 2 to 3 workouts a week. And the normal runs, it's basically just like everyone's like equal, just in the running world too. Like I'll see someone running recreationally, and I'll be like, oh, they're grinding out now, and it's just a 50-year-old lady. Like, I respect that.
And you can tell like by looking at them at the corner, if they're stopped, and you're like, oh, this is this type of runner.
Yeah, definitely. But then when it comes down to workouts, usually, obviously, if you're faster, you have a little bit more input, because if you're slower, you don't want to be like Nathan is way faster than me, and I don't want to be telling him what to do in a run because he's doing his own thing. But if you're a senior, you have a little bit more pool, because these freshmen will come in usually from teams where they don't have a lot of teammates that are as good as them, and they don't really know how to act in that situation yet with running. And like Rob Leveroni, great captain, Noah Perkins, other senior, and they'll just be like, hey, like, do this, and then people will respect them because they're seniors.
So how does that work strategically? Like if you are, if you're, say you're running a long distance run, more in kind of in the cross country realm, or even outside of like college competitions, say you're running a half marathon or something, somebody's faster than you. How do you even the playing field in a long distance run with somebody that's faster?
Ooh, most of the time, if I go out on a run and I'm running with some guy that I know is way faster than me, I'm just going to try to hang with him as long as I can.
Okay.
Or there's a joke that I'm like the king of saying like, yo, chill, like on a run, like, all right, we need to take it easy, no need to
and like kind of
hard.
like playing possum and being like actually,
Because sometimes the guys can get antsy really early, and sometimes you don't want that necessarily. You want to like preserve it because we're running like 13, 14 miles at a time. And so I'll just be in the back going, hey, chill, guys.
I mean, that's honestly, there's a lot of truth to it, though. I mean, like, you come out of the gates hot a lot of more times than not, I'm guessing. And it probably doesn't just happen when you're competing in practice. You probably notice it, no?
Yeah, definitely.
So how do you curtail that? Like, how do you, reel that in? Does it take somebody to tell you, or, or did people just naturally come back to earth?
I'd say it's about 50-50. Yeah, someone will go out hard in a run, and sometimes you can catch them. But everyone on our team is so talented, though. We have dudes that have that ability. So Nathan will usually be in the front leading, and you just let him do his thing, especially once they get older and they learn. Because sometimes you'll tell freshmen, hey, don't do this because, like, we're looking out for you. But they don't quite really realize that at first.
Yeah.
And then once they realize, like, oh, I'm kind of tired in training, like, because there's a different type of tired. You can get kind of, like, burnt out than – because – doing any type of physical activity is tiring. And so, yeah, just it comes with age and learning. It's all part of a process.
So go into that, like, different types of fatigue. Do you get, like the central nervous system fatigue where you're like, I'm literally just exhausted versus what, like, my calves are super tight, I'm kind of achy. Like, is that a difference, or what's the difference that you kind of would say?
Yeah, I can definitely see a difference. So a big point in our training that Coach Pick preaches is sleep. And I've definitely realized that I did not do in high school. If you're getting 8 to 9 hours of sleep a night, you feel so much better when you're working out, going to school, living life. And so, like, this past night, the national championship game was on. So I didn't get the best sleep. I went to bed before the fourth quarter, Coach, if you're listening.
Discipline.
But still, I didn't get my regular 8 to 9. And so we had a workout this morning. So I definitely hit the wall maybe a little bit earlier than I should have in the run just because I was just overall tired.
Yeah. So how much time do you and how much time do runners like to give themselves in the morning after they wake up? So, for example, for me, if I'm, just recreationally running and I wake up and let's say I run like really pretty recent, or not recent, but pretty close after I wake up, I'm feeling like kind of overheated, like I'm just kind of shaking it off still. Do you like to give yourself a buffer?
I do now. Yeah, in high school, especially when you're younger, you should just wake up.
Yeah.
Within 5 minutes, I'm out the door running. But now I like to give myself at least an hour before. Just kind of wake up, walk around, let the stomach settle, drink some coffee, some little breakfast. So I'd say hour is probably a good window. If we have a later practice at like 9 a.m., sometimes I like to wake up at 7 or 7:30. I think just the more time I have beforehand, the better.
Do you eat before a morning practice?
Yeah, I usually have a granola bar or maybe some oatmeal. I need something in the stomach.
Yeah.
I mean, food is fuel.
A little bit of energy, some carbs to get you going. How much, I always am curious with runners, how much water do you intake a day? Do you intake enough, or does the coffee kind of get in the way?
Ooh. I'd say I'm pretty good at it, but I could definitely do better. If I have a bottle like I do now, like I'll get Body Armor for my coach in the morning, then I'll just use that bottle and just try to refill it. Because if you have a bottle, you'll just constantly be sipping. Yeah. And so that definitely helps. And so, I don't know, maybe like six or 7 bottles a day.
Okay. So what are the little disciplines that you've kind of taken on at North Florida, or little habits that you see runners do that you've added to your repertoire, whether it's, with sleep or sleep strategies or, your race preparation or diet?
Ooh, wow. The guys definitely get on me about my diet a lot, so I'm trying.
They like razz you for not having good diet?
Yeah, because as I said, food is fuel. So when I go to the Osprey cafeteria, I'm like, I just need something in my stomach, and if nothing's looking good, I'll just get pizza. Yeah. And I love soda, but I'm trying to get off of it. Sometimes it just goes so well with pizza.
Yeah, it's always a staple combination right there. Pizza and tacos, or soda and tacos, or pizza. It's just there's something about it. But you obviously have a quick metabolism. That seems to be the case for a lot of runners.
Yeah, I definitely do. Yeah, a lot of us do.
What do you preach in terms of taking care of your body? How have you kind of, and this is going to get into another part of the conversation that we're going to have about your injury. What's something, that you always try to do every day? Is there something that you do, whether it's rolling out or stretching, or that you add for, getting your body ready and repaired?
Yeah. So I'd say it's kind of in 3 steps, like preparation, during, and then post. And so definitely activating your core muscles before. So I have pretty weak hips, so do a lot of runners. So I'm always doing some hip activation drills before. And that just helps you get ready for the run, lets you get a little bit more explosive and making sure everything's firing correctly. And then during the run, take your easy days easy. We have really tough workouts this morning. We had a 9.5 mile workout. And so if I don't take tomorrow easier, and listen to my body, I'm going to be not feeling good for the next day or maybe the next few days or workout. And so taking your easy days easy definitely comes with age and experience.
Is it hard to balance that when, especially if you're running in a group and like, you know, you're going to try to compete in practice even like, it's like looking at a weightlifting program and being like, I really can only do 65% of my max today. Why can I not do it? And then you end up trying to do like 100. Like, does that happen where it's, you know, you've got to really be strategic about it and it's hard?
Sometimes it depends on the person. We have guys, I think I'm pretty good at listening to my body, and sometimes I just physically can't go faster. One of my teammates, the 1500 ASUN champ, Jared Vasquez, is great at running slow, which sounds funny for our fastest miler. Just
out there the other day at practice, I saw him just taking his sweet old time going around the track before everybody started practice, and he was going, you know, a little moping along, but, I mean, that's probably part of his strategy at certain points. Yeah,
definitely. And it's helped him progress well and stay healthy. But it is hard when you have a group because maybe the conversation's really funny. They're talking about a movie I really like. I'm like, oh, I got to get up to the pack real quick.
It's like I have something to share.
Yeah. And I love talking. I'm not going to front. So.
Yeah. So going off of that and just kind of learning your body and taking care of your body, it seems like you probably have I'm kind of indestructible mentality sometimes with running. Was that the case before your injury, and then go into what the injury was?
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty unique one, but it's happened to more people than you realize.
Yeah, definitely. So I was pretty healthy my whole high school career, and just like from playing other sports and just diving around and running just super hard, you think you're indestructible.
Yeah.
And then my senior year, I had some small stuff, but it was just more muscle related, like weak hips or having the IT band problems.
Sure.
But then you would never think it would be anything else. And then it's just take care of the little things and that'll happen. And then, my biggest injury in my career once I got into college was in 2018, I think, in February maybe. I was running on the road near the fountains, and a car was coming. And then I went on to the side to get out of the way, and I hit a curb. And I just kind of fell on my ankle and twisted off the curb. And I mildly displaced my fibula. I feel like I should know this, what it was. But so I fractured, I broke my ankle.
Yeah.
Doing that.
Did you know right away when it happened?
The instant pain that I got, it was just like bang. It was so sharp, like nothing I've ever felt before.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I'm messed up.
Yeah.
But then I got up. It wasn't that swollen at first, which is weird. And then I was like, hey, I'm good. But this was a few days before our indoor conference race. And this was my sophomore year. So my freshman year, I wasn't that good. I was just a little boy trying to get into the program, get situated. Yeah. And then I had a kind of a breakout cross-country season that year that no one really expected because I was a walk-on. And then this track season, I was getting into really good shape. And I'm like, all right, I'm grinding. I didn't know if I was going to run at the race yet for indoor conference. So I was going super hard. So when that happened, my first thought was, oh, no, I'm not going to be able to race at conference.
Right.
I didn't think, and I just thought I twisted my ankle really bad.
Yeah.
And then...
And it's like, oh, man, even a bad ankle twist will put me out. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so I was able to hobble, because I lived at the fountains. I was pretty close, so I hobbled up there. And then...
Probably didn't want to tell anybody.
No, not at all. I called Coach Pig pretty soon after. I'm like, man, I messed up. I don't
sorry.
know what happened, but he's very positive. So he was like, we'll just get you in the trainers. And then I got my friend Rob to pick me up. He helped me walk in. And then I saw the trainer. And then Coach Pig comes up to me and he's like, oh, I don't think it looks that bad. He's like, you think you'll be good to run the 5K Friday? And I'm like, yes, sir. And I was just hyped at the news that I found out I was going to run.
Yeah, that you even got the chance. You were getting the chance.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I was like, all right, let's go. But then I looked back down, and by that time, a couple hours afterwards, it was getting pretty swollen. And so I knew it was bad, but I didn't expect it to be broken or fractured. And then later that day, I got an x-ray, and then the guy came in, the doctor, and he was just like, yeah, so you fractured pretty well. And I'm like, oh, darn it, come on.
Man. Yeah.
Terrible bedside manner.
Yeah,
Great doctor, great guy.
Just kind of, they just delivered the news, it's kind of deadpan about it. I was reading the Spinnaker article about it, kind of comparing it to Paul George's injury as well, and you're a Paul George fan?
I mean, it's a little bit.
Not not a little bit of a Paul George fan, you said? More Gordon Hayward fan? I mean, he had a pretty gruesome injury, too.
Theirs were way worse than mine.
Yeah,
their bones were sticking out when they got
those
hurt.
Were pretty jarring.
But, just seeing famous professional athletes and celebrities that go through injuries that are somewhat similar is pretty inspiring. So seeing stuff like that makes you motivated, and you see them come back because they're always in the spotlight. And so you're like, okay, if it's happening to them and it's way worse, like I can get
and they're back there. Yeah. So what did you do at that point? How long was the recovery? How was it for you mentally not be able to train?
So I was out in total. So I had surgery 2 weeks later. I got carbon fiber screws. Upgraded from the metal a little bit. So I got 7 screws in the plate.
Man.
Yeah. I think I was out from like February to May was when I think June 1st was my first run back, and I'm gonna say like run with parentheses because it wasn't really a run. I was just jogging around. Yeah. And by then that was when I think I just got out of the ankle brace, and so that's when I just started running. So I was out for a solid like what is that 3 or 4 months?
3 months.
And then that whole summer, I was just slowly getting back into it. It took me a while to just get back into true running form, and I would say not till like maybe this summer, like a whole almost year and a half removed from it. Coach Pig did a really good job of slowly progressing me back, which that part I needed it, but also mentally, like I was doing some different stuff than the other guys, but at the end, it definitely helped me, just like doing slower, longer, like tempo runs instead of like a really high intensity thing. That will help progression. But when I didn't run, the big inspiration for me, other than professional athletes, would be my roommate Manny Velasquez, who,
well, of course,
unfortunately,
you were roommates with him.
Yeah, right now.
Okay.
Yeah, he got ran over by a car when he was running once, and that's way worse than anything that's ever happened to me, and I'm sure a lot of people. And so
that must have been huge for him to be around.
Yeah, definitely. And because he is like the most positive guy I know, and he is hilarious, so funny. He has like a childlike enthusiasm about him, and so just seeing him come back from that, and then he's running now. He's training for a marathon. He ran 20 miles the other day.
Oh man!
And so
wow,
he wasn't at that point then when I was hurt, but just like knowing what he's gone through, I was like, oh,
I have this. I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it for a runner? I mean, you depend on it probably mentally a lot too. Like I'm guessing just the experience of running every day.
Yeah. I tried to do what I could, but I was in a cast, so I couldn't really do much. So I would just be doing some ab workouts on the track where the boys are running. But the team also gave a super positive environment. So I made it a point to be at practice every single day, even though Coach Pig was like, oh, you don't need to come. You can just like stay in your dorm, like focus on school. But I was like, no, I want to be there. And she was like, all right, like we'd love to have you. And so like every day they're doing a workout. Like you can find pictures of me with Coach Pig, like doing the timing for the guys. And so I was just trying to stay involved as much as possible.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to feel removed at that point when you get back, you know, because you're going to feel like, wow, this is shocking to be back in this environment almost.
Yeah.
For you, was it hard to get back into it, like cardiovascularly or muscularly? What was the hardest adjustment physically?
I'd say at the beginning, probably both. Obviously, like my ankle was super weak at the time.
Yeah.
And, but also, I was really out of shape, and I'd say I'm not the most naturally talented guy. Like I get good at running just by grinding and running a lot and trying. Like I want to be one of the highest mileage guys on the team.
Yeah.
Pushing 70 to 80 miles a week. So getting back into it did take a long time. I remember the first run. It was June 1st or something in Orlando, where I'm from, and just blazing hot, so humid, and I could barely breathe. But then that's
probably like painful almost.
Yeah. It felt like I had like a hot blanket over my lungs. But that slowly went away. Like the run started to get a little bit easier, and then just getting the ankle back and doing rehab and stuff, and letting the body adjust to running fast. Because I wasn't just trying to get back to like daily life. I wanted to get back and run my best and contribute and help the team win ASUN championships.
Yeah. for your own self too. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to be able, contribute for the team. And then I was going to ask the question about just how you view running. I mean, running is one of those things where it can be recreational. It can also be competitive, but you kind of, it's one of the few sports where at the collegiate level where you can kind of combine both in your life at the same time, where it's like, you might have a baseball player where, you can always, you're competing on the baseball field, but it's not like I'm going to go out and track my, exit velocity just for recreational purposes on the side, type of thing like that. Like, how does that, how does running kind of fit in your life outside of competing?
Before I would say I run strictly to compete when I was doing track, but I really do enjoy it, and just the communal aspect. Every summer I help out at a running camp, which I know sounds so lame, but it's so much fun. All these high school teams all over from the Southeast come over in Brevard, North Carolina, and I went as a kid in high school, and now I'm a counselor for the past 3 years.
Oh, wow.
And just meeting so many people, so many connections, and just from running and from high school to college, I've met so many people. So I love that aspect of it. Just going back home to Orlando, I have a bunch of friends from my year from other schools in local areas that run collegiately.
Sure.
So we always get together. We're still running. I still run with my old high school team every now and then when I'm back home. And so I love the community in itself, which is really awesome. But that's probably 50%. But the other half is I want to see how good I can get. It's why I ran in the beginning was I wanted to be good. I didn't want to do a sport where I got no playing time.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something.
You want to be in it.
Yeah. I wanted to see how far I could push myself. And I like having the chip on my shoulder, just being this small, scrawny white kid, what can he do a little bit? And so, yeah, I've just tried to work really hard at it, and I've came here as a walk-on, and now I'm a scholarship athlete, and so I think that shows how hard I've worked, and was really a big goal for me.
Do you or guys on the team have they ever talk about having aspirations to do those the ultras and all those types of marathons? Like outside of it, it's like a whole other. I mean, speaking of running community, you have your collegiate running community here at UNF, and then that's a whole other kind of community where it's like this kind of alien-esque, like athlete. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think any of us want to do an ultra marathon, like a 50 miler or something. I do know people that have done it, and big shout out to them. They got some grit. That is incredible. But I think the most prototypical thing would be going and doing a marathon. My teammate Rob always jokes, after he graduates, he's going to do 2 marathons, one to qualify for Boston and Boston. So I think that seems like a pretty good goal for myself and others too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's probably the only post stuff. But the cool thing about running, though, is it is one big community. We know a bunch of high school athletes, and then we also know a bunch of pro athletes, too, which is kind of cool. Like Eden Meyer, who used to run here, runs pro now. And she can just show up, and you can say what's up and talk to her. We have some pro athletes that train at our track, and you can just say hi to them, and they're just like, hey, what's up? How you doing? And so that's really cool thing about the sport of running that not a lot of other sports have.
So, so you're obviously a communications major as well, correct?
Yes, sir.
And some runners, what's the typical running personality? I've seen kind of a broad spectrum of pretty introverted, kind of do their own thing, and then seem pretty extroverted. What's the what's the balance there? Is it random or?
First, I'm just gonna say runners are weird, and we'll label that ourselves. We're some weird dudes. We're running for fun.
Yeah.
But I'd say it's pretty mixed. We definitely do have a lot of extroverts on our team, and then we do have some introverts. I say we're maybe just because it's in the team environment, we do it is seem like more extroverts, but it is pretty normal to just have standoff guys and stuff just in the sport, because it is a sport where you don't need a team to do well in, and so in the running community in general, you could run into some weird cats, and so that is pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know if there's technically a runner type. I would just say we're all weird. That's fair.
That's fair to say. Speaking of being extroverted, you've got a pretty good Twitter presence. I think have had some good tweets that have received quite a bit of recognition relative to the average citizen these days. What do you attribute that to? Favorite follows on Twitter, maybe aspirations in the media world. I don't know.
Well, you know how to gas me up.
Yeah.
I love Twitter. I'm not gonna shy away from that. Twitter is so awesome. I love it because it's just another way for me to express myself. And just with running, for me, life is finding about ways I can express myself, and through sport, through like communities, and through Twitter, I just have such a fun time just letting people know what I say. And that's maybe why I'm a communications major. Like, I would love to host something like this in the future when I'm older. And so, yeah, I wouldn't say I don't censor myself in ideas, but then I'm still PG, you know?
Yeah.
You got to keep it clean and fun.
Yeah.
Favorite Twitter follows? Anyone at UNF, you know? I think a bunch of my teammates are pretty funny. Tim Doyle's got a great Twitter. Garrett Sam's got a good one on the basketball team.
Okay.
Professionally, or like not knowing that I actually know, Rob Perez, we were talking about him earlier.
Of course.
He's an NBA fan, and he has the clips up before they're even posted.
It's
on
amazing,
ESPN.
Right?
He takes them with his phone of his TV,
Yeah.
and he puts them up with some hilarious inside NBA joke. So he's probably my favorite follow.
Okay. Favorite team?
Ooh. My teammates always joke about that I have like 10 favorite teams, but none of them are good. I lived in outside of Washington, D.C. area for about 10 years growing up. So unfortunately, I like the Washington Wizards.
Yeah, I mean,
historically bad team.
They've had a couple, first round runs and exits. Yeah.
And then being from Orlando, I also like the Magic.
That's fair.
Who also within the last decade have been very bad, but they're on the mend.
They had that one good year with obviously going with Hito Turkoglu and Dwight, some of those guys, and Dwight Howard.
Legends.
Yeah, that was kind of Jameer Nelson, and whatnot. Speaking on that, what are your goals potentially for the work world and communications coming up here late in your UNF career, and then what do you hope to accomplish this year in the track season?
So I'm a multimedia journalism and production major, and so probably in the immediate future, I'd love to get into a newsroom early and just kind of see the layout of that. That's what I'm really pushing for right now, and just creating content. I love doing that, and the end goal, like my dream, would be to host a TV show or something. Because I like talking, I like people hearing my opinions. Sounds so
Who
narcissistic.
Doesn't? I mean,
but
yeah.
I have a lot
Look
of
at
fun
me right
with
now. Yes.
Yep, exactly. So that would be like the dream. That'd be awesome. And then, but wherever it takes me, honestly, I'm up for anything. And then for running, I'm just trying to get in sick shape. That's what we say a lot. Like, what are you trying to run in this? Like, I'm just trying to get in sick shape.
Yeah. Just work on yourself, right? Get yourself to where you need to be.
Exactly. I think here at UNF, a main goal is just getting ready for cross country. And as a long distance guy, like I run the 5K and 10K, the boring events. So I'm just the whole year is just prepping for cross, trying to get that ASUN championship. But individually, I'm trying to go sub 15 minutes in the 5K.
Okay.
That's been a goal of mine.
Yeah.
It's been a goal of mine for a while. I think it's definitely achievable this year. But it's like this one barrier that you break that people look and you're like, okay, he's a good runner.
Yeah, that's like a badge of honor in a sense. Yeah.
So that's what I'm aiming for, and then whatever I do with the ASUN championship, outdoor for track, I want to place or medal, whatever I can do to help the team.
Sure. Another opportunity to do it here this year.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I love hosting it. It's awesome.
That's a great thing. So thanks again for coming by. It's good to hear you. I know I've been meaning to get you on here for a while, so glad to make it happen.
Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun.
All right, Anderson Bobo.
Peace.
Thanks for bringing the energy today, Anderson. Great to talk with you. Good luck with the rest of your training and into the competition season of your indoor year. So a few things on the horizon tonight. Men's basketball is a big game against Jacksonville at JU. And another big day follows with women's tennis opening the year with matches against FAMU and Flagler. It will play Georgia Southern Sunday and then Cornell Monday. Swimming battles Old Dominion and VMI, that's in Norfolk, while women's basketball goes to JU as well, January 20th. So make sure to jump on ticket sales. We have baseball and softball season tickets announced, as well as a pair of flash sales that are available for men's basketball, softball, and baseball. So thank you for listening to another edition of Talon Talk, and we'll be excited to bring you another episode next week.